knocked over the salt and pepper shakers. And then you rolled in it.
Greetings, mortals. This is Q, and I have returned this week to talk about Star Trek Discovery. And apparently, everyone gets to see an ad first. Isn't that wonderful? It's interesting how much of a delay there is between what I say and what shows up on the screen. It's quite fascinating. Now, what we're going to do with this live stream is we're going to be talking about Point of Light, which is the name of the third episode of this Season 2 of Star Trek Discovery. Now, I just watched this entertainment, and I wish to share my thoughts on it. And then, of course, if you have some questions or thoughts, I'm sure with your primitive brains they will be fascinating. So, Point of Light. Just to tell you a little bit about this story, I hope you've seen it, because if you haven't, this is going to be full of spoilers. It starts out, and of course we have Burnham giving her personal log, which she is so dramatic. She's like, seeing these 7 points of red across the galaxy makes me feel like I'm not there for my brother. How does that connect? Again, this entire show would be much better if the main character wasn't so full of herself. Still, I do still appreciate Captain Pike, and it was very interesting that come visiting is Mom, Mother Amanda. So, in that whole discourse, there was like 3 storylines, so I'm just going to talk about the first one with Burnham and her mom, and finding out that Spock is apparently a murderer. Oh, I did like the fact that Pike used a screen to talk. But everyone else uses holograms, and so I guess 9 years now, everyone's going to go back to screens, because holograms, what? They suck? I mean, they have great holograms in Next Gen, yet they still use screens. I wonder why. But anyway, they do find out that Spock is supposedly a murderer, ran off, escaped. They have a manhunt going on, which I suppose is possible. I mean, his mother was like, oh, he is so gentle. Well, wait until the Pon farr. You haven't seen Gentle. But apparently Burnham did something to him in his past, and that scarred him so badly that he's lost all his empathy. Didn't Sarek say he brought in Burnham to teach him empathy? Good job, Burnham. So that mystery is there, and after decrypting his medical files, that is clearly a HIPAA violation, if they have HIPAA in the Federation. His mom goes off to find him. Mothers. Don't mess with them. And mothers was quite the theme, because we saw the Klingons. Now, they're growing their hair back. Yes, that apparently was something that they shave off during war. Yes, nice cover. They just caved to the fans, which I'm not saying is a bad thing. But they're all growing their hair back, and they're pretty soon going to look like Worf again. I don't know if that's a good thing. Klingons on the best days are pretty vile to look at. and definitely not that bright. So, yes. I see a few people are commenting, Matt, I will be as gentle and merciful as I can if you annoy me. Sebastian, we'll talk soon about that. And good evening, Patriot Prime Reviews. Or should I call you Jason? Yes, I know all kinds of stuff, because I am Q. So, moving along. Yes, we got to see the Klingons, and we got to see how they weren't too happy with a woman in charge, I guess. You know, I guess most Klingons are Republicans, I have no idea. And they weren't happy that her pet pseudo-human was having such authority. And they have, apparently, in paint, listening devices. I wouldn't consider Klingons clever enough to even know what a listening device was. And these are not the Klingons who cling to the teachings of Kahless. I mean, Kahless was one of the least revolting of the Klingons, which of course isn't saying much, but at least he had honor. These people did not act honorable. Where's the honor in stealing a child? Of course, where's the honor in hiding the child from its parent? Both parents, though one knew about it. It was a very, very interesting storyline, and of course, things came to a head, and our good old Philippa, what's her face, from the Empress from the Terran universe, shows up. And apparently she's now part of Section 31. So she saves the Empress. She synthesizes heads of both the child and of Vok, Ash Tyler, whatever he wants to call himself these days, so that she could pretend that she lost her child and killed this human traitor. So she's definitely part of Section 31, which I get that. That's a perfect spot for her. Why do they carry badges? It's the most secret organization, and from what I understand, they don't even call themselves Section 31. Because they just know it as the organization. They don't need to call it anything, because if you don't know about the organization, then you don't know. It's almost like they're taking the best parts of DS9 and future Star Trek and bringing it back, and let's see what we can do to screw it up. A super secret organization such as Section 31 wouldn't carry badges. Their whole catchphrase would probably be, "We don't need no stinking badges." So, for her to carry that, or be in possession of it at all, any Section 31 agent who obviously could get killed in the line of duty wouldn't have such an incriminating piece of evidence. So why would they have badges in the first place? And of course, Ash Tyler, I got the impression that he heard of Section 31 in his Federation days. I gave consideration to the fact that he may have learned of it as Klingon High Chancellor's, pet, and been privy to such information that the highest levels of government might be aware of. But the impression I received was that he had heard of black badges somewhere in his days in the Federation. I don't know. Section 31, I'm always happy to see a covert organization like that, but I'm really afraid they're going to screw it up. And of course, they got an import from the Terran Federation, the Empress herself, of one of the most vile organizations in the multiverse, and trust me, I've been around. I've seen the Boy Scouts. There are definitely hitchhikers coming over from the Terran universe, which brings us to Tilly. Tilly, I like Tilly. And she was infected with the worst interdimensional yeast infection in history. So much so that this spore got into her head and pretended to be her dead friend, all grown up and in uniform. So she was looking for the captain at first when she's like, he's supposed to be blonde, supposed to be short. I'm like, is she a time traveler? Was she looking for Kirk? But no, she was actually looking for Commander Stamus. So, Stamus. You humans have so many names. It's very easy in the Q Continuum. If I see someone, I just say, "Hi, Q." Hi, Q. Not to be confused with Hi, Q. That's a Transformers thing. But this whole hitchhiker from the Terran universe turning into a out of phase kind of big ball of jelly, which of course gets sucked right out of Tilly to her discomfort. So she wasn't going mad. She wasn't being visited by one of my kind or those annoying Organians or anything like that. It was a spore in her head. I mean, the spore had some good ideas, but it has some kind of plan for the commander. That's very strange, very strange. So overall, I do say this season is better than last, and there are some interesting episodes going on and the whole red thing, but it's very, I don't know, it seems very awkward. They're trying to shoehorn in all this stuff before Kirk's Enterprise, and it's just still painful to watch. Not as painful as last season, but, and the most painful person, I have to say, she should have never killed herself in that alternate reality known as The Walking Dead and joined Starfleet, because she's not that relatable of a character. And she keeps a lot of secrets. She's overly dramatic. A lot of the other characters I like. Pike, awesome captain. I would love to see just a show about him. What can you do? So, that's my thing. Let's take a look at some of your comments here, and I will bequeath my wisdom to your primitive brains if you can actually absorb them. Yes, the Klingons didn't mention honor because they're not following Collis. In fact, you will notice that a lot of the Klingons in the original series were not very honorable. That kind of happened later. Though a lot of the Klingons here don't look like the Klingons in the original series, which you would think it's just makeup, but they explained why in Enterprise, and then they just threw that out the window. The whole mother thing, yes. The Chancellor saying, "Call me mother," almost made me think of one of Darkseid's minions. That's another universe, but I do get around. Yes, that whole mother, call me something better than Chancellor? Mother? Yeah, that's just kind of weird. Could Picard benefit by having a toupee made of Klingon hair? Well, I think whatever hair Picard has left, he's barely holding on to, especially after having run into me a few times. But no, he's rather proud. I don't think he would be growing back his hair after a war. He would if he could. But then again, with all the Federation technology, you'd think that he could revitalize his hair follicles if he so chose. But he did not so choose. I cannot get over, this is Philip M. Welcome, Philip. I cannot get over how stunningly bad Star Trek the Michael Burnham show is. That sounds like a sitcom. Welcome to the Michael Burnham show. I don't think it's stunningly bad. I think some of the writers have good ideas. I just think they've thrown things out the window. I'm not sure who directed this episode. I know Frakes directed the last one, and he's somehow connected to Commander Riker. And you'd think he would do a better job with Star Trek. I think they're just throwing a lot of things in here that don't make a lot of sense. I've said it before, I'll say it again, until you tell me to shut up, and you don't dare, because I will turn you into a Horta and launch you into space. They should have set this whole series 10 years after Janeway's Voyager. Then they could have all the high technology they want. They could have come up with new villains. They could have done much more interesting things, and they wouldn't have to get poor Spock involved. Let Spock rest in peace, as, well, he probably won't be back in the movies, and certainly Leonard Nimoy, give a silent thought of him. He was truly Spock. Zachary Quinto, a good stand-in, but he was no Leonard Nimoy, who also had the talent of being Galvatron in another universe. But yeah, I think they have some good ideas. I just think they're ignoring too much. Philip also says the woman who plays Burnham is nothing short of insufferable wherever she goes. I've met the woman in real life, and she's actually quite pleasant. I don't think that she's being directed very well in this. I don't think they gave her the best character to work with. I don't blame the actress. I will never say that the actress or the actor playing a part is a horrible person, because I'm not petty like humans. I will say the writers have some ideas, but they're not accomplishing it correctly. See, even I can make a mistake when I choose to. But whatever their reasons, they are misguided. I'm not going to insult any of them, because that is petty, just like base life forms. But I will say that they're not doing the job that they could be doing. Now, if they bought me in, I could tell them what they're doing wrong, but they probably wouldn't want to hear it. Talentless Tilly. I like Tilly because she is kind of a geek. She's basically very awkward, very brilliant, and I like that. You don't see a lot of that. So I respect your opinion, but yes, I happen to like Tilly, but you can have your thoughts. I'll let you have them. Matt asks if Discovery is set before or after Enterprise. It's after Enterprise, before Kirk's Enterprise, 10 years prior to Kirk. So they've already had that wonderful virus that caused a lot of Klingons to look human, to explain that type of thing, but no sign of it yet. Philip, you want me to snap my fingers and do things to people on this show, and unfortunately the Continuum has forbidden me to do that. They've also forced me to watch this show due to some minor perceived, how shall we say, infractions on my part. Let's see. Blessed Heathen's tired of Sonequa's face. I think she doesn't know if she should be Vulcan or human or something. I don't think that they've given her the best character or the best character explanation. So I think that limits her ability to portray her that well. I love Pike, Philip, but yes, it does seem that why does Burnham need to give him, validation for what he did with Spock's records? He's a captain of some renown. That's another thing. Burnham has far too much influence on this show. Arnaldo is asking me to erase STD to the history. Well, if you have an STD, I suggest you go see a doctor. As far as wiping out Star Trek Discovery, alas, I have been forbidden from doing that. But I tell you what, I did pull some strings, and it looks like there's going to be a show with my good friend Jean-Luc. So keep an eye out for that. And let's hope that the humans that I entrusted it to don't screw it up. Can't let the captain mansplain. Picard show. I'm hoping that, Blasted Heath, that the Picard show actually is worthwhile. We'll see. I mean, I have to say that the actor who plays my dear friend, I mean, he could read the phone book, and many of you would just love it. So I have hopes. Rumor mill, I have heard the same rumors that it's on the chopping block for cancellation. I'm sure they'll spin off a few other Star Trek shows before they cancel this one. I mean, would I be heartbroken if they canceled it, since it would cut short my having to watch it? No, I wouldn't be heartbroken, but it is a shame that they haven't done better with it. Let's see. What do I think about Section 31? Well, I think I talked about it earlier. I love Section 31. It's so much fun. Captain Kyle, who is on this channel, little secret, he was actually involved in a fan film that has not come to fruition, that it actually involves Section 31. And it was quite clever, because I read the script. I wrote the script. But moving along, Supreme Leader for the First Order? Dean, sorry, that would be like a downgrade. It would be like taking... Alright, I don't want to talk about politics, so it would like be taking a 5-star general and putting him in charge of a Boy Scout troop. Though some of them might like that. No, I'm not going to take over the First Order, and yeah, I had problems with that last movie too, but I talked about that in another video. Season 2 of STD, better be it. Not sure how much more fake Trek I can stand. Well, Blasted Heath, it may be it, if they don't improve. Sebastian says Kurtzman wants Star Trek to appeal more to children, and so he says, yet he makes it so dark and mimics Game of Thrones. Star Trek did make you think as a kid. Here they seem to avoid the whole thinking process. And they don't even structure things very well so that you have a chance to either try to infer things and then reveal it later. No mystery, let's put everything on the table, except the whole Red Angel thing, and Burnham not explaining what she did to Spock. Did she like walking on him when he was ponfaring himself? Was she flirtatious? Did she like do some things that brothers and sisters shouldn't do and then just spurn him? Who knows? I wouldn't put much past Michael Burnham. What could children learn from STD? Again, if you're talking about the disease, we won't go there. But if they're talking about Star Trek Discovery, learn to disobey orders, learn to cover up things. I am glad that Tilly actually did admit to her hallucinations and speak of that so that they could actually work that out. Because it's too many times that people don't talk about what's going on, and that just leads to needless drama. I know that in a show like this it needs all the help it can get, but needless drama we don't need. Wasn't Kurtzman involved in that Michael Abomination movies? Wasn't he part of one of the writers there? And then he got this job? Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't feel like stretching out my powers to learn a useless piece of information like that. But if he was involved in Transformers, I'm not surprised. Well, you don't like Sonequa, Philip, I get that. But I don't think that she's, again, that bad of a human being. I just think that if she's coming off a little vain, it's because she was on a hit show and thought she was going to be in another hit show. What can I say? STD is sensory transmitted doom. Clever for a human. Sucks total anyway, I'm not going to say that one. Donnie Woody says, do I think Captain Picard, or I call him Jean-Luc, would be recruited by Section 31? Have you met the man? He has morals up the wazoo. There's no way he would get involved with Section 31. It would not happen. You can come over here if you'd like. I just happen to have a cat over here. I think he's one of Gary Seven's. Very sweet. So, no, I don't think Jean-Luc would ever get involved with Section 31. This is the best species on your miserable planet, humans. Just so you know. Dogs are a close second. What's my opinion on this Pike compared to the first one in the original series? Well, we didn't see a lot of the original one. I do like this Pike better than the one, all due respect to the actor, in the movies. But I do think that our dear friend, the new Pike, he shows a lot of charisma. I think that the original Pike in the original series didn't have a lot to work with. So he wasn't around very long. He had one episode. I mean, he was a fine actor and he did a fine job. I just think this one is showing a lot more charisma. Q equals... I resemble that remark. I think these red angels might be of a similar variety to the Q Continuum, unless it's a different Q that is playing the part of this and trying to get humanity to solve their own problems, like they could. Now, I'm not sure about this red angel, and again, I've been forbidden from using my powers in any way on this show. Hopefully they'll lift that ban at some point. Picard's Vineyard for space booze. I could make a better wine like that. And I did. Can't drink too much of it, though. An odd couple show with me and Jean-Luc. That would be fun. If someone traded me the Eye of Akamoto for that golden necklace you're wearing now, would I take it? Well, first of all, I believe that allows time travel. Why do I need a time travel device? Think about that. I mean, it would be a nice trinket to have, but I'm not going to trade this for that. I'll just get a Marvel version. Can I travel to Discovery, snap my fingers, and fix everything wrong with it, please? I'm not even sure if I have that much power. Kurtzman directed The Mummy with Tom Cruise, effectively killing the Dark Universe. Thank you, Heath, for that information. So, let's see what else he can kill. Yes, I miss Brendan Fraser. You hope we will finally get the 2 Axidar movies this year, Sebastian? I'm sorry, don't you know? There's no way Axidar is ever going to happen. Not after the slapdown Paramount gave to those fine folks. No, that ruined a lot of fan films for a lot of people, including me, and I was not happy. Have I ever played Star Trek Online, or at least checked it out? I've heard of it. I used to play some games on a Windows 95 machine that were Star Trek related, but I have not played Star Trek Online because I'm so fascinated with humans that I just watch them play it and do very stupid things. Matt says he believes the Picard show has great potential. I do too. Patrick Stewart showed genuine emotion. He did. So yes, I have some high hopes for Patrick. And Kurtzman wrote a Transformers movie, I guess, and Into Darkness. I am Khan. Who? If you haven't seen the How It Should Have Ended for Star Trek Into Darkness, you need to check that out. Aha, somebody has a Trek Online. Maiden. If you don't know Maiden, she is part of this whole fandom spotlight. So, my friends, it looks like it's been half an hour. Oh, we do have some additional questions. Great. So Robert Meyer Burnett, the director for the never-to-be-made Axanar film, put the scenes that he made for the never-to-be full-length Axanar film on his site. So those were probably fun to see. Zachary, I do not follow Anti-Trekker. Anti-Trekker should follow me because I am Q. But I don't despise this episode because that would entail some type of effort on my part. But it wasn't the best episode, but there were a lot worse episodes last season. Sebastian, I'm sure the scenes look amazing. If you are interested in seeing Captain Kyle in a fan film, look up on this YouTube thing that you use, that apparently I'm using now, Trek Isolation Out of the Fire. It looks quite stunning, I think, especially with the on-ship scenes. What's that on my chest? You thought it was Santa Claus's hat? No! I didn't invent the 22nd century judge's costume. I just wear it. And I like to be accurate. Meet a lot of cosplayers who feel the same. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much do I dislike what they've done with the show? Wow. I would have to give it a solid 7 in the dislike overall. Again, they have some good characters. They've had some good concepts, but curiously out of time. I mean, maybe they will have to call me in to fix everything after the cluster F that they've made. So yes, check it out. It was actually nominated for a prize at Treklenta. So it didn't win, but it was an honor apparently just to be nominated. And Maiden says it was really well edited. I happen to know the editor. However, it wasn't well color corrected. We're going to have to do a new color corrected director's cut at some point. Yeah, I have to say there's some bad writing and acting, Philip, in this show. Bad dialogue, bad... they definitely need some help. What I heard about Star Trek Discovery, and this goes no further than You, Me, and the Planet, is that they had a team of people who were to make sure that Star Trek Discovery did not go beyond the bounds of continuity, that made sure everything fit perfectly. And the thing is, when the team said, yes, this is outside of continuity, it needs to be fixed, if they didn't like it, they ignored them anyway. What's the point? I'm hoping eventually that it might go from a strong 7 to a 6.5, but they'll need to do a lot of work. I would look forward to the future and see all the episodes at once, but I don't think that even my mind could take that much punishment. I did read the Star Trek Doctor Who comic crossover. It was pretty... If you're referring to the same one that I am, it was pretty interesting with the Borg and the Cybermen teaming up temporarily. That was a fun one. So, yes, Chili Spartan, I did read that. Alright, help would be to decompress the entire ship. Wow, you have some strong feelings, Philip. Yeah, it seems that this season they are trying to repair some of the damage, like Klingons with hair. Amazing. But I'm not sure if that is actually going to save it. Zachary says, no spoilers, but I hope Spock didn't do what they say he did in this episode. That's just not Spock-like, unless he's really horny. You know, Ponfar does that to you. I'm sure that if he felt it was necessary, Spock would kill, if it was logical. But it would not be something that he would want to do necessarily. All right. So, while we don't have any comments to respond to quite at the moment, I do want to talk about we will be continuing this series. The people have spoken. Apparently they want it right after the episode so they can get the venom out of their system as quickly as possible. And so we'll be doing that. Now, interestingly enough, I took the first Q Reacts, which was done in the same style as my dear friend the Governor's reactions, and trimmed out what CBS All Access said was copyright claimed. So then I uploaded a new one. You may have noticed it. It was just copyright claimed again. Now this time they didn't ban it, so you can still watch it, but please. Maybe they don't like what I'm saying, but that's what criticism is for. I want to read the Star Trek Planet of the Apes crossover. Was that a thing? Really? That would be an interesting crossover. Get your stinking paws off me, you damn dirty Klingon. Gene Roddenberry's vision of the future was that of optimism, and perhaps that's what we will have to be. Yes, Gene had some interesting ideas about the future. He also thought we could eliminate money. I don't know about that. He had some naive views. But definitely the first season was not about hope, which a lot of Star Trek was. Maybe this will turn into more of a hopeful season. But again, I'm not necessarily convinced it's in the Prime universe. Philip can't stand what they've done to Star Trek. It's tantamount to what they did with the latest Star Trek movie. All they're missing is Burnham on a dirt bike. Oh, the season's young. But let me tell you this, Philip. They did nothing to the Star Trek that you love. Because those episodes are still available, and you can still watch them, and you don't have to count Star Trek Discovery as part of the universe if you don't want to. It's like some people, Battlestar Galactica, the classic series, they loved it. Along came this new series, they hated it. Some loved it. Some, like me, could realize it's two different continuities, and even enjoy a comic by Peter David that has the crews meeting after a wormhole event. So, Star Trek is not ruined. This particular series may not be the best Star Trek series that there is, but go watch some Next Gen or some TOS. Thank you, Sebastian. I'm glad that the stream was a surprising welcome thing. And thank you, Mr. B. Natural. I'm not John Delancey. I've actually met him several times. I don't think he likes the competition. But he plays a good me. Rumor is that CBS uploaded the first episode of Season 2 on YouTube in order to gauge the audience reactions to help their decision about cancellation. I never heard of such a thing. And considering how quickly they copyright claimed my video, I can't see them giving it away. Burnham on a dirt bike is the title of next week's episode. Well, sheesh. Philip, it looks like you get your wish. Now, I think, again, that Burnham is the weakest character on the show as far as likability. She's supposed to be the one that we are rooting for, and I just can't wait for her to be off the screen. And again, I'm not going to say anything nasty about the actress. I'm just saying the way she's written is such. Chili Spread says if the Klingons get removed, it'll go a long way. Well, I mean, Worf, who had a diet of books, he had ridges, just not quite as pronounced. And it's great, Philip, that you've been watching the old shows all the time. It's, I went through and watched my adventures with Jean-Luc with some fondness. Those were the days. I might give him hair. No, I won't. Well, my Trekkian friends, I think Trekkians should replace Trekkers and Trekkies. Trekkians. So I'm going to call you Trekkians. I appreciate you watching the show. Now, if you'd like, you can, I think it was Sebastian said he subscribed. Feel free to do that. There's also, if you look down into the description, there is a coffee. If you'd like to support the mortals who put on this channel, I understand they have a need to eat and such. And they also have some merch, which has some interesting things. There may be some new merch coming soon that features me. Yes, and I hope that I make an appearance in the new Picard series. What would they do without me? I mean, Picard without Q It's like Abbott without Costello. It's like Rick Grimes without never mind that. Let's hope, Heath, that the Picard show doesn't have the same bland aesthetic. Let's hope that they actually do a good job with that. But I am prepared for the worst. I may have to go against the Continuum's desires and restrictions and actually turn all the people at CBS into tribbles if they screw up that show. Alright, subscribe, like, comment, all that stuff. I have some other things to do, mortals, and if you see some flashes of light in the sky, well, those were supernovas I caused a few million years ago, so don't worry about that. But I will be back next week, and I will cast my judgment on episode 4 of Star Trek Discovery. And remember, the trial is never over.